I'm on my prime, I'm feeling like Steph. I get my shot and I promise it's wet. Waited too long, but I told him I'm next. I need my bag, just run me the check. Cable was mine, I ain't taking less. I told them all I'm as real as it gets. Shit being shit, dog, I'm cutting the net. I thought I told them I came for my spot. They told me time is like money, that's why I made it.
Good morning and welcome back to the videos. Today we're going to do two things. The first thing we're going to do is an FTP test. And the reason that we're doing an FTP test is because I want to talk about using ChatGPT as my training coach. And if you're new here to the videos, my name's Grant. I am mad about cycling and I'm making videos about basically what I'm learning in the hopes that you find it interesting or helpful. I make short form videos over on Instagram and YouTube Shorts, and then this is where we can go a little bit deeper into some of these topics. So yeah, today I want to talk about training. So around 6 months ago, my training had basically plateaued. I was doing hours, but I wasn't really getting any better. And I think part of that was because I didn't really know how to balance zone 2 base endurance training with some of the more high intensity interval training stuff. And so I had this idea to use ChatGPT as a training coach. Basically, the thinking being here is that it has access to all of the research, all of the advice from the best coaches in the world. And so surely it could be the ultimate coach. And so I created this prompt that basically takes into consideration all my goals and my targets and where I'd come from. And I've actually left a link in the description below so that you can go and use that prompt as well. But wait till the end of the video before you do that. So for me, I set a couple of different goals. The biggest goal was that I wanted to get a 4 watt per kilo FTP. And at my current weight, that's 266 watts. And there's nothing magic about the 4 watts per kilo number, but for me, it felt like the kind of fitness that I wanted to get to on the bike. That like upper end of amateur cyclist. And about 6 months ago when I started, I think I was at about 3.7 watts per kilo, which was around 247 watts, I think, at my weight back then. But I also set a couple of other targets. I wanted to set power PBs in all of the Strava best efforts. So on Strava, you've got like power PBs for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Like there's a bunch of different PBs there. And I wanted to break all of them this year. And I think at this point, we're already maybe like halfway through. So pretty good progress on that front. And then I also had a couple of events that I was doing this year that I wanted to do sort of specific training for as well. But today we are 6 months into this training plan and it's time to do an FTP test and to see whether we've hit that 4 watts per kilo. But we'll get to the test shortly. For now, I'm going to make a coffee and then we're going to talk about some of the things that I've learned having used ChatGPT as my coach, and I guess whether I would recommend it to you. Okay, so just before we get to the FTP test, I want to talk a little bit about what my experience has been like using ChatGPT over the last 6 months. The first thing to know is that I call him Chad. We decided a while back to name him, and actually it's been quite helpful because it humanizes the whole experience, and I think you treat him more as a coach than just an AI thing. But yeah, let's talk about what I've learned, some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like. So the first thing is that I absolutely love not having to think about training sessions. So I'll probably do like 4 to 6 sessions a week, but being able to just get on the trainer and not having to think about what session I'm doing takes that mental barrier away from training, because Chad is basically giving me every session, every day, and I just don't even have to think about it. I also love the flexibility because I hate missing sessions. Like mentally, if something comes up, if we've got a social thing or work's busy and I can't do my workout, it really affects me mentally. But with Chad, I'll just tell him that I can't do it and he will basically rearrange the rest of my training week to accommodate for that missed session. That just takes a stress and an anxiety away from training that I really enjoy, and I think it's part of the reason why I've just kept using them. But I think one of the most interesting things that I've noticed from the last 6 months is the type of workouts that Chad's gotten me to do. And what Chad has done basically since January is had me doing the same 2 sessions every week, a VO2 max session and a threshold session. These seem to be the key sessions of my week. And what he's done is, so say for example the VO2 max session, let's say the first one was 4 3-minute intervals at a set power. Then the next week we would do 5 of those 3-minute intervals at that power. Then the week after that we would do 5, but we would do 4-minute intervals. And then the next week we would do 5-minute intervals. And then the next week we would put the power up and go back down to the 3 minutes. And so it's not exactly the same workout, but it's essentially 4 or 5 3 to 5 minute intervals at a set power. And over the last 6 months, we've just increased what I've been able to do there. And the same with the threshold. That's been like 18-minute, 20-minute intervals. I've just been doing them week on week on week and getting better and better and better. And that is something that I would never have done before. Typically, even if I did an interval session, I would just choose something random. And I think that leads me on to the sort of unexpected win out of this whole process. I guess the thing that I've always struggled with cycling is not endurance. The thing that I've struggled with is pacing higher intensity efforts. So say a 20-minute FTP test or an hour-long climb in the Alps. I just had no confidence in what power I could do. And so I would always go into those efforts and probably under-deliver on power because mentally I didn't know, I didn't have confidence. And by doing these power intervals every week and increasing what I'm doing, I really now have this confidence in the powers that I can do. And so when I go into a session, whether that's out on the road, doing a climb, doing an FTP test, I have this new confidence with, yeah, I know I can hit that power. That is such an unexpected win for me, like a mental win that I just didn't think would come out of this. And so if you're also the kind of person that struggles with that, I can definitely recommend doing this kind of thing. But it's not perfect. Sometimes Chad gets things wrong. There's been a couple of times where I've looked at a session and thought the power was too high or too low. And when I've challenged it, Chad is like admitted to the mistake and then given me the actual number. So you do have to have a look at what he's given you and just sense check it. And then the second thing is there's quite a lot of manual work. And obviously if you had a real coach, they would be doing this for you. And so it is quite a lot of manual work to keep him up to date, which I think is important for getting the most out of the training. But I think the thing that I've learned is like, you just have to treat it like a conversation. You know, I go back and forth with Chad. I say, you know, what do you think about this? Why have you given me that session? You know, what's the bigger plan for the next 6 months? How are you planning on getting me towards these goals? And that conversation gives him more information, but also gives you more information as well. And I feel like after the last 6 months, I'm now a better coach for myself than I was before because of those conversations. And so anyway, I think I've put it off long enough. It's time to go and do this FTP test. And I guess we're going to see whether Chad is actually a good coach by the results of this test.
Let's take a victory lap, let's take a set to relax. I fell in love with this game, and it's loving me back. I put my all in this game, and it's paying me back. I need a round of applause, I need a victory lap. Let's take a victory lap, let's take a set to relax. I fell in love with this game, and it's loving me back. Put my all in this game, and it's paying me back. I need a round of applause, I need a victory lap.
Okay, so we're almost good to go on this FTP test. The test that I'm doing today is on Zwift, and it's their 20-minute test. And so the way that it works is you do, I think, 2 or 3 intervals initially, just to add like a bit of fatigue to the legs. And then you've got a 20-minute, as hard as you can go for 20 minutes. And at the end of that 20-minute interval, your average power, 95% of that will be your new effective FTP. And so for me, I need to try and do 280 watts for the 20 minutes, which is a lot for me. And 95% of that is 266 watts, which would be 4 watts per kilo for me at my current weight. And so that's what I'm doing. It's going to be absolutely brutal, but I've put it off long enough. So let's get into it.
I'm on my prime, I'm feeling like Steph. I get my shot and I promise it's wet. Waited too long, but I told him I'm next. I need my bag, just run me the check. Cable was mine, I ain't taking less. I told them all I'm as real as it gets. Shit be a shit, dog, I'm cutting the net. I thought I told them I came for my spot. They told me time is like money, that's why I done made it. I sweat it, I'm spending a lot. They never seen the hours I put in to get here. They only just see what I got. I spent my time in the lab all this winter. I sweated the summer is gonna be hot. I cannot lie on this shit. I paid a lot for this shit. They got some money to spend. I got some money to get. I gotta talk on this shit. I swear I told them I'm here. I feel like I get my shot and I promise it's wet. Waited too long, but I told him I'm next. I need my bag, just run me the check. Cable was mine, I ain't taking less. I told them all I'm as real as it gets. This shit be a shit, dog, I'm cutting the net. Shot and I promise it's wet. Waited too long, but I told him I'm next. I need my bag, just run me the check. Cable was mine, I ain't taking less. I told them all I'm as real as it gets. This shit be a shit, dog, I'm cutting the net. I thought I told them I came for my spot. They told me time is like money, that's why I done made it. I sweat it, I'm spending a lot. They never seen the hours I put in to get here. They only just see what I got. I spent my time in the lab all this winter. I sweated the summer is gonna be hot. I cannot lie on this shit. I paid a lot for this shit. They got some money to spend. I got some money to get. I gotta talk on this shit. I swear I told them I'm here. I feel like I'm in the league. I just keep making these hits.
Okay, I'm going to have a shower, I'm going to get changed, and then I can go through everything with you. Because right now, I'm absolutely dead. I'm happy though. Okay, we're showered, we're changed. I've also done a little bit of packing because I am going to France tomorrow. I'm going out to the Tour de France for stage 19, the second last big mountain day. And so I'm almost ready for that. I need to leave shortly. But I wanted to go through the stats from this FTP test. And I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty happy because the results were better than I expected they would be. I set PBs for 8-minute power, 20-minute power, and 30-minute power, all within this one test, which I'm not even sure how that was possible. But the most important one is the 20-minute, because that's where the FTP gets taken from. And so 6 months later, after having done Chad's plans, I averaged 293 watts for 20 minutes, which gives me a brand new FTP of 279 watts, which is way better than I thought I was going to get. I was aiming for 266, which would make 4 watts per kilo, but this is like 4.25 watts per kilo. And so, yeah, absolutely smashed the goal that I'd set, exceeded my own expectations. I did not expect to get that high. And to be honest, I think if I did it again, I could probably pace it differently, because the last 5 minutes, I had a little bit more in the tank. And so I was averaging like 320, 330 watts for that last like few minutes. But that did bump up the average power in the end. But anyway, I'm super happy. And to be honest, like, I think that this is testament to the training plan working. Like, obviously there's an element of it that is up to me, like the motivation to train, to eat well, to do the hours, to put the hours in. But it is the first time that I've ever followed a training plan, and it is by far, like, that's 11% increase in FTP over 6 months, which is by far the biggest improvement I've ever made ever before. I guess in summary, I would recommend using ChatGPT as a training coach, especially if you can spot some of the errors and things like that. But what a day. 279. I'm going to call that 280. I'm going to have to go get ready, and I'll catch you probably next week with a video of the Tour de France experience. And I think my plan is to go and try and figure out where the best place to watch the Tour de France is. So if you're interested in that, then make sure you subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.
I'm on my prime, I'm feeling like Steph. I get my shot and I promise it's wet. Waited too long, but I told him I'm next.